Nama saya Jevita, anak perempuan Ramaya. Nombor matrik 15DAT23F1035. Saya sebagai Audit Associate.
Hi madam, my name is Kiritika Ana Perempuan Paniselvam and my metric number is 15DAT23F1045 and the role that I'm doing in this meeting is as an Chief Auditor.
Hi madam, my name is Pavitra Anaprapan Raja and my metric number is 15D1823F1053 and I'm playing a role as an audit manager in this meeting scenario.
Good morning, our audit managers and audit associate. Thank you for joining today's audit review meeting. I'm Kiritika Panisam, the chief auditor in charge of this session. As we all know, our objective is to review several client cases that raise certain audit concerns and to discuss how we, as the audit team, should respond in line with the professional auditing standards, particularly the International Standards on Auditing, ISA. Okay, so let's begin with the case regarding Seri Inspirasi Sendirian Berhad. So Seri Inspirasi Sendirian Berhad is a manufacturing company that has been in operation for about 10 years. Recently, during the external audit, the team identified that a few issues that caught our attention. So before I share my thoughts, I'd like to hear your opinions.
Thank you, Chief Auditor Ms. Kritika. If I may, I have a few points I'd like to raise for clarifications. Based on the recent findings at Seri Inspirasi, a manufacturing company with 10 years of operation, we've identified a few concerning issues: a sudden unexplained increase in accounts receivable, discrepancies between physical and system inventory records, and unsupported operating expenses. In your view, what should be the auditor's initial step to address the sharp rise in account receivable?
Alright, madam. First of all, auditor perlu perform analytical procedure untuk mengesan perubahan yang luar biasa. For example, auditor should compare the current account receivable with the total amount from the previous period and the trend in the street untuk mengenal pasti sebarang perubahan. Furthermore, auditor also requires a supporting document untuk mengesahkan validity of the receivable. For example, auditors can review the sales invoices and delivery orders. That's all. Okay. This is my point of view.
Okay. Now, secondly, based on the same findings, how would you suggest we detect or verify potential errors in the company's inventory records?
When we're dealing with discrepancies in inventory records, there are several audit procedures that we should perform to ensure accuracy and reliability. Kalau yang pertama adalah we should conduct a physical inventory count. Maksudnya macam comparing the actual stock on hand with what's recorded on the system to identify any differences. Yang kedua, kita kena perform test of controls to assess whether the company's internal control system to managing and recording systems are operating effectively. And maybe ketiga, a review of inventory movement should be done by examining purchase, sales, and production record. Kalau macam tu, kita boleh confirmkan that all movements are recorded properly and tiada apa yang misstated. And next, we will conduct a valuation review to ensure that inventory valuation method, whether FIFO or LIFO, complies with the applicable accounting standard and mereflectkan fair value yang accurate. And finally, we will perform cut-off testing untuk confirm that all inventory transactions are recorded dalam correct accounting period. So, kalau dalam combined procedures, dia akan tolong kita untuk detect misstatement, verify completeness, and confirmkan that inventory balance too in the financial statement is fairly presented.
Thank you, madam. Your answer is very clear. And Saya ada satu soalan. Apa kita boleh buat apabila ada apa-apa perbelanjaan yang tiada supporting document in financial statement?
Okay. Based on the issue regarding operating expenses without supporting documents, I'd like to highlight a few key concerns. Firstly, there's a clear risk of material misstatement. The absence of proper documentation may indicate that some expenses are either inflated or not genuine, which directly affects the accuracy of reported net profit. Secondly, this situation may represent a violation of accounting standards, as all recorded transactions should be supported by valid and verifiable evidence in accordance with financial reporting framework. It could also point to a potential fraud risk. Unsubstantiated expenses might suggest the possibility of misappropriation of funds or fraudulent activity within the company's operations. And lastly, if these unsupported expenses are material and remain unresolved, it may impact the audit opinion. In such a case, we may need to consider issuing a qualified opinion or even an adverse opinion, depending on the severity and pervasiveness of the issue.
So, audit associate, how we should proceed when we find potential elements of fraud in a client's financial statements?
Madam, I believe that first the auditor perlu lapor kepada management. Auditor mesti inform isu ini dengan pihak yang bertanggungjawab. Contohnya lembaga pengarah. Furthermore, auditors support the internal control improvement. Auditor boleh check the weakness of internal control that allow the fraud, and also they can support the internal control to avoid the fraud. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you. That's a solid discussion. And yeah, we'll definitely need to extend our audit procedure untuk kumpulkan banyak evidence. Lepas tu kena discuss its findings with management and report kepada those who in charge with governance kalau diperlukan. So we will consider how this affects our audit opinion later. And alright, good work on that. So let's move to the second agenda items. Our next case is for IMAR Company Senayan Berhad, a furniture manufacturing company. Their financial year ended on 31st December 2023. So, and their financial statement were prepared on January 20, 2024, and the audit was completed by February 15, 2024. Now, there was an event that occurred after the year, and kita kena decide whether this is adjusting or non-adjusting subsequent event. And kita kena justify juga kenapa. So, as a reminder, an adjusting event provides further evidence tentang conditions that already ada dalam year end, while non-adjusting event relate kepada conditions yang baru arising at the after the reporting date.
Madam, on 10 January 2024, kita dapat the company warehouse caught fire. Resultnya, company ada inventory loss that amounted 500,000.
Well, audit associate for IMAR Company Senayan Berhad, I would say the event we're referring to adalah warehouse fire that occurred on 10 January 2024. Yang adalah yang inventory itu destroy sebanyak 500,000. Now, since the company's financial year akhir pada December 31st, 2023, and the fire berlaku lepas hari tersebut, so this is clearly a non-adjusting subsequent event. So, reasonnya simple. Sebab fire ini is not related kepada any condition that existed as at the reporting date. So, ini adalah event yang baru yang muncul dalam following year. So, however, kerana loss amount adalah significant, dia still kena disclose dalam notes to the financial statement to ensure transparency and tolong juga users to understand dia punya impact on the company's financial position after year end.
Okay, let's refer to the event dated 25 January 2024, where INAR company received a legal letter stating that they are being sued for 2 million due to defective products sold in December 2023. Would you consider this as an existing or non-existing subsequent event? And could you explain your reasoning based on the timing and nature of the event?
This situation, I believe that the situation is adjusting subsequent event. Kerana defective produk telah dijual sebelum akhir tahun. Isu ini berlaku on 31st December 2023. Lawyers letter sahkan bahawa ada liability yang sedia ada. Financial statement perlu adjust untuk record liabilities.
Okay, a large customer who owed 1 million kepada company, dia declare bankrupt. So, the company unable to collect the debt on 5th February 2024. So, Miss Audit Manager, so let's hear your opinions on how you would classify this event and boleh saya tanya kenapa?
Okay, that's good doubt, madam. Regarding the event on 5 February 2024, I would classify this as an existing subsequent event. This is because the customer's financial difficulties likely existed before the year end of December 31, 2023, and the bankruptcy simply confirms the recoverability issue as of that date. Therefore, in this case, the financial statement should be adjusted to either write off the receivable or recognize a provision for bad debt to reflect the true financial position as at year end.
Alright, that's a clear explanation. Saya agree dengan reasoning you. Kalau event ni provides evidence of conditions yang exist pada the December 31st, ini adalah adjustment. Otherwise, ini adalah non-adjusting. So, tapi kita still kena disclose it if it's material. And let's ensure our documentation accurately reflect this. Great, now let's move on to the final case.
Okay, alright, I have a question. Okay, kalau situasi yang manakah the auditor should modify their opinion in the auditor's report berdasarkan International Standard Auditing 700.
Okay, thank you for the associate's auditor for the doubt. Referring to the ISA 700, there are two key situations where we as auditors would be required to modify our opinion in the audit report. Firstly, when there is a material misstatement in the financial statement. For example, an incorrect valuation of assets or revenue recognition errors. In such cases, depending on the materiality and pervasiveness, we may issue a qualified opinion, or if the misstatement is pervasive, an adverse opinion. Secondly, if we're unable to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence, where due to missing records or management imposed limitation and the area is material to the financial statement, then we may issue a qualified opinion. However, if the limitation is both material and pervasive, a disclaimer of opinion will be appropriate for this.
Well, given that Amanah Berhad incurred significant loss over the past few years, and dia unable to repay its outstanding bank loans, and ia mungkin raising doubts about its kemampuan untuk continue as a going concern. So, well, what type of audit opinion will you issue in this case, and bagaimana kamu akan justified based on the available disclosures and audit evidence?
Alright, madam. I believe that the opinion is unqualified opinion with material uncertainty related to going concern. Okay. So, amanah berhad mengalami kerugian besar dan tidak dapat membayar pinjaman bank, menimbulkan keraguan terhadap keupayaan berterusan. And then I have reviewed the management assessment and disclosure regarding the going concern uncertainty and found that the company has made adequate and accurate disclosure in the financial statement. I obtained sufficient and appropriate audit evidence and did not identify any material misstatement related to going concern assumption. Oleh itu, pendapat tidak berkelayakan dikeluarkan tetapi disertakan perenggan ketidakpastian material berkaitan going concern mengikut ISA 570. Sorry. And then this paragraph highlight that a material uncertainty exists which may cause significant doubt of the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. This type of opinion is memang unqualified, but it's considered modified due to the inclusion and explanatory paragraph.
Okay, our next case today involves excellent enterprise. During our audit, the client refused to let us confirm the accounts receivable balances. Their reason was concern about possible customer complaints, but as we all know, confirmation is one of the most reliable audit procedures for verified receivables. We also tried alternative procedures, but couldn't obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. This situation limits our scope as auditors. So based on this limitation, what type of audit opinion should we issue and why?
Audit manager. In this case, saya tak provided dengan documentation yang cukup untuk verify the accounts receivable balance. And ini adalah limitation of scope sebab I couldn't obtain any sufficient audit evidence untuk material item. However, isu ini bukan pervasive sebab ini affects only one area. Therefore, I issued a qualified opinion disebabkan oleh limitation of scope in line with ISA 705. And basis for qualified opinion paragraph pun included to explain the limitation and its financial impact.
Madam, I also have a questions about the healthy life per heart. Okay. The management of healthy life per heart, as we know, it's a public listed company. Okay. They decided untuk not disclose a major transaction kerana mereka believe the information tersebut adalah sensitive and juga dia confidential.
Audit associate. For healthy life berhad, for the suspected non-disclosure of liabilities, saya found evidence that liabilities were omitted, but tapi management tu refuse untuk adjust ataupun disclose them. And this creates a material misstatement disebabkan oleh disagreement with management, walaupun ini bukan pervasive. So I issued a qualified opinion and added a basis for qualified opinion paragraph untuk describe the omission and its effect dalam a financial statement.
Alright, madam. Thank you for the clarification.
That's an important distinction. So let's ensure we reflect this clearly in our audit report discussion section. Alright, team. That concludes our all three cases for today's meeting. Thank you for your participation and valuable insights. I'll prepare the summary notes based on our discussion and circulate them by the end of the day. So please make sure your working papers and conclusions are updated accordingly. So good job everyone. And thank you audit manager and audit associate once again for the productive session. And the meeting is adjourned.